Hi, welcome to the 2024 Cortaca Jug pre-week press conference. We'd like to welcome the two head coaches from Ithaca, Michael Toerper, and from Cortland, Curt Fitzpatrick. Thank you for your attendance today. We are going to just basically start by asking each coach to give kind of an opening statement, opening feeling about this week's game, and then we'll open the floor to questions. Justin will facilitate who's asking the questions when you have them. So first, Coach Toerper, if you want to start us off, talk a little bit about your feelings and looking forward to this weekend's game.
Sure. Thanks, Fran. We're excited about this opportunity because it is one of the best rivalries in all of college football, and it's so pure. And it's certainly, when you're going against an opponent that's had so much success as Cortland has, and with a great head coach there and Coach Fitzpatrick, it's certainly a challenge that our guys are embracing. We know we've got our work cut out for us, but it's really about everything outside of it that you think about right now, and that's the pageantry between two schools, the alumni, eagerness to be at the stadium, and just how great this is for both schools, and really what it means to everybody that's in the program right now and everybody that's been through this program before. But when I'm sure with Coach Fitzpatrick and myself, when we get to practice, it's certainly just like another week of preparation.
Thank you. And Coach Fitzpatrick, your comments?
Sure. Thank you. And thanks everybody for being here. It's Cortaca week. It's exciting. This is one of the most unique rivalry games in the country. I think one of the best at any level of football. So it's always fun. I always say that Cortaca week is like a competitor's dream. This is everything that you want if you're a competitor, to be in this type of arena. It doesn't get much better than this. And we know that Coach Toerper's team is talented and playing as good a football as they've played all year right now. They're peaking at the right time. So, I know he said he has his hands full. We got ours full too, just as full. So our players are going to be ready. Ithaca, poses a lot of challenges and threats to our in all three phases of the game. So, we know we have to have a great week of preparation, and also excited for the game to be on our campus for the first time since 2021. Our campus is excited. Should be a great atmosphere, and one that I think both teams are very deserving of playing in a special game like this. So we're looking forward to it.
Thank you. Justin, do we have anyone at this point looking to ask a question?
Yeah, Keith submitted the first request for questions. Anyone else who hasn't, please just message me in the chat, and I'll call on you as they come in.
Let's go, coaches. That's just my question to start off with. You guys both started just about a few years ago. 2020 is the most recent for you, Coach Fitzpatrick. But what have you guys learned about this rivalry throughout the last few years?
My first one was in 2021, so I've coached in 3. I think I've learned. I always knew it was a competitive game, even from the outside. Obviously, two programs that are extremely competitive, but the amount of juice that comes from the alumni and the fan bases and the student bodies, I think is something that's way more than I knew about before becoming the head coach here at Cortland. So, it just makes it more fun.
Yeah, just to second that, I think the alumni behind it, as a head coach, it feels a lot different than when I was competing as a defensive coordinator my first 3 years here at Ithaca. So it's just the pageantry behind it, like I said before, is something that's unique. And, it's about also controlling emotions with our guys. It's something that they look forward to this game all year long. You certainly don't want to talk about it until you get to this week, but also being able to harness that emotion and direct it in the right spots when we get to game day.
I think just to add in on that, I think that one thing during the game that's unique is, like, this is the only game that I've ever been a part of where every play, half the stadium is going nuts like they won the Super Bowl, and the other half the stadium's quiet. It could be like, 1st and 10, run up the middle for 1-yard gain, and whoever's on defense, their crowd is going nuts. It's every game. It's such a flow throughout the stadium, and I think it's a challenge for the teams to stay even keel when the crowd's going nuts over, over every single play. They're kind of hanging on the edge of their seat, and so it's unique in that way, and it's fun, but it also is a challenge to keep the players, focused on the task at hand rather than getting caught up in the emotion of the game.
And do you guys have any favorite memories from like fans or alumni from before the game, like the adding up to the game? Any favorite comments or seeing flags, seeing any favorite things that stick out to you?
I enjoyed throwing out the first pitch with Curt a couple of years ago. That part was really neat and special. It was my first Cortaca Jug as the head coach, and we were getting ready to play in a historic venue. So I thought that part of it was really cool in the lead up to that game. But again, having it here last year for the first time in some time, it was like Curt said, before the game, the fans were going back and forth. During the game, you don't hear it as much as a coach, but they're going back and forth. But I just think all the electricity, and it's tangible, it's tangible. And it was cool in MetLife. It was cool in Yankee Stadium, but having it here, I know Curt's experience at their place, there's something about having the intimate, D3 stadium venues that we have and feeling that energy as opposed to a big stadium.
And how do you describe, I know high school rivalries can be so intense. What's the difference between like a big high school rivalry and this game?
The scope is so much bigger. It's more national. I think yeah. I mean, it's probably similar in some ways too, right? If you're playing the next town over in high school, you want their players want to beat those guys just as bad as our players want to beat Ithaca or vice versa. So there's a lot of similarities, but I just think the vibe, the tailgating scene, everything is just different in Cortaca than it would be in a high school game.
Thanks, coach. That's all the questions I have for you guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Keith. Parker, you're up next.
Hi, coaches. Thanks for the time. I also have one for both sides of this. I just want to know, how have your individual seasons prepared you for this? Obviously, Coach Fitzpatrick, your team's now won 21 games in a row, dating back to September 16th of last year. Coach Toerper, your team has seen a more adversity than they had in the past couple seasons. How have your individual seasons prepared you for what is the biggest little game in the nation?
You want to go first, Coach?
Sure. Yeah, I'll go first. I mean, Cortaca is unique. It's just as all the points we just talked about. It's unique in a way that's hard to prepare for from an emotional standpoint. So it's just having veteran players who have played in them before know what we're talking about when we talk about controlling emotions. From an X's and O's standpoint, and just kind of how the team has played throughout the year, it's we've had some tough games. We've had to come from behind and win twice. And so I think just the belief, our team has a strong belief in one another, and belief that when adversity strikes, that if we stick together and get back and do the things that we practice, that we can overcome anything. So I think just like whether it's this game or any other game, I think our season has prepared us because it hasn't always been easy. And thinking back to 2022, let's say, it wasn't like that in 2022, and it's like it now. I think our team is a little more mentally tough than we were, and we know we're going to be tested again, so we're going to have to draw on all that just to to have a chance to win Saturday.
Yeah, for us, we've been through adversity and haven't come out on the right side of it, and I think we're a pretty youthful group, and learning how to handle it and learning how to bounce back and keep going forward is something that we focused on throughout the season. So certainly we're going to pull from that, just like Coach is going to pull from the adverse times they faced and overcame them. We're going to pull from our ability to bounce back after losses this year and perform at our best. So our guys are excited for the opportunity and understand it's a massive challenge, but one that I think, like Coach said, we got to control emotions and can't get on this emotional roller coaster that we were on a little bit earlier in the season, and that kind of yielded towards our youth a little bit. So we're more mature than we were in the beginning of the season, I believe, and I hope that pays off on Saturday.
Thank you both.
Any more from you, Parker, or are you going to wait?
I'm gonna sit on him once we pivot towards another part of the conversation.
All right, sounds good. Flynn, you're up next.
Yeah, my name is Flynn. I'm from the Ithaca and Student Run newspaper. I just have one question for you, Coach Fitzpatrick. Your team has shown a balanced offense this season with standout performances from both your passing and running game. Can you speak to the importance of this balance and how it will factor into your approach against Ithaca's strong defense that holds under 11 points per game?
Yeah. I think, that's at the first page of our playbook when it talks about offensive philosophy is talking about our that we strive to be multiple. And I think good offenses can play whatever way the defense wants them to play. And so that's kind of how we try to build our offensive attack is, if a team plays with multiple high safeties, we got to be able to run the ball. Or, if a team plays with one high safety or less, then we have to try to attack through the pass. And obviously, sometimes you got to run it when everyone in the stadium knows you got to run it, and pass it when everyone knows you're going to pass it. But the balance is the key. And I think, any defensive coordinator would say when they're not sure what you're going to do, that's when you're the hardest. That's when the offense is the hardest to stop. So we do have some talented players that can make that happen. Led by Zach Boys, and then with our offensive line, our running game. We try to be balanced so that when we get into a game, we can flow one way or the other based on the looks we're seeing. And sometimes you have an off day and one or the other, and you got to be able to run it more just to pick up the lack of a passing game or vice versa. But balance is definitely the key, and we've been doing a great job of that all week. And knowing that Ithaca has such a strong defense, very confident, smart, great tacklers, we're gonna have to maintain balance in this game. It's gonna be very important for us to do that.
Thank you, Coach. Great answer.
That it, Flynn?
Yeah, that's it for now.
Okay. Ryan, go ahead.
Hey, coaches. First off, thanks so much for the time here. I wanted to start with Curt, Coach Fitzpatrick here. Just a couple questions for you. Obviously last week, a really impressive comeback win over Brockport, and then you look earlier into the season, that great comeback winning in Susquehanna. How important were those battles against really high-quality opponents going to be when coming up against another really high-quality opponent in Ithaca on Saturday?
Yeah, I think the experiences of that are very important. Now, I don't like us playing the kind of first quarters that we did in those two games. I think that's important that we get off to a better start. But it's also a credit to our players and the leadership on our team that, last week, they scored on their first drive, and then we had a punt block. It was 14-0 before we could blink, but there was no finger pointing or, you play a great first quarter, doesn't mean the game is over. You play a bad first quarter, well, it doesn't mean the game is over either. It's a 60-minute game. So, I think the togetherness and just the belief that our players have in one another and in our game plans, I think it's very important. Obviously, I'd like to put the shoe on the other foot this Saturday and not play from behind like that. But having known that we have the confidence to do that if we need to, and we're going to keep fighting for 4 quarters no matter what the score. And just we've won all of our games this year, but that doesn't mean that we're a tough team, and we're gonna play no matter what, one play at a time. So I think we have that in us, and I'm glad that we did. Looking back on it, I'm glad we had to come back. I think it helped. It's helped build our team to what it is right now.
And just wanted to touch on a couple of key players for a hot second here. Jaden Alfano St. John, obviously that transition from being the lead running back last year to now being a star wideout. So how have you kind of seen him pretty much seamlessly transition from the backfield to being a receiving threat?
Yeah, I mean, it probably looks seamless from the tape and some of the numbers, but it's been a lot of hard work. It's not easy. It's not easy going from being a tailback to being a full-time wide receiver. There's a lot of nuance and so there was a lot of ups and downs through practice and through spring practice and through training camp. But Jaden's just he's a very talented player, very talented athlete. He catches the ball. He's got very natural catching ability. So this is kind of what I envisioned when we moved him, was just because I knew that we needed some playmaking ability, and and to his credit, he was completely on board with doing whatever the team needed him to do, and he's really provided some versatility for us that's been very important.
And then with that, of course, now Ethan Gallo's the lead back there in the backfield. So how have you seen him grow in confidence being that go-to guy back there?
Yeah, Ethan, he's very, very calm, cool, collected character, a very physical runner. He's really he's one of those guys, he's a sophomore, but he's very like wise beyond his years. He kind of acts like an older guy. He doesn't really, he's kind of unflappable with his demeanor. He's very calm. And yeah, he's just very consistent, and consistency is great in a football player. You know, if all of our players were as consistent as Gallo, I'd be a very, very happy coach. So he's, you know, just a great player. And you know, where, you know, Jaden gets moved, and it opens up some space for Gallo to thrive, and he's done a really nice job consistently all season.
Great, thanks, Coach. Appreciate it. And now I have a few for Coach Toerper, and you know, obviously this is the first time in 3 years since the Cortaca Jug is being played in Cortland. So how much will you guys kind of lean on the veterans that did play in that hostile environment back in 2021?
Yeah, I think when you go into a hostile environment, it's certainly a different atmosphere, and our guys just gotta thrive knowing that, just like Cortland did last year. You go into the Lions Den, you gotta go in there with a certain type of demeanor. So we're excited about that opportunity to go into a place where there's going to be a sea of red. Hopefully there's some blue behind us as well. But, you know, that's what college football is all about. I think road games are sometimes, and Coach will probably second this, but road games are sometimes just as fun as home games because of that lean into, they had to do it the whole way through the playoff run last year. You lean into that road warrior mentality, and you lean into, you know, hopefully that you can make the few fans that you have. I know we're going to have a lot of fans there, but the fans that you have behind you happy on their way to drive home, and send the other guys not so happy. But I think it's going to be a really great place to be on Saturday, because the atmosphere there is outstanding. The stadium's outstanding. We were out there once already for a JV game this year. So our guys have been in that stadium, whether they've been in the game in 2021 or they've been out there for the first time when they supported our JV players.
And then just a couple key areas for your team. I know it goes without saying that the battle in the trenches are always important, but do you feel like there's more of an emphasis on that for this game, especially given the talent you have on your defensive line?
Yeah, I think they have a lot of talent on their defensive line as well. I think that's something that is a massive challenge to our offense, is blocking those guys. Number 95 is such a tremendous player, but they've also got 51 on the other side, who's got an incredible high motor, and the two interior guys that can move the pocket back as well. So, you know, for us, we just got to make sure that we do the best we possibly can at limiting those guys from having disruptive plays, and our D-line has to do their job. That's what they have to do over and over and over again, because it's a very challenging offense to defend. And, you know, if you don't stop the run, then you're going to be in trouble. So we know it's a, you know, and like Coach said, it's a balanced offense. So there's nowhere that you can say, okay, we can just really load up in this section because they're going to hurt you the other way. And they got a guy back there that makes all the right decisions. So we got our hands full, but, you know, it's going to come down to the battle up front a lot of the times. And this is no different, but there's certainly some skill guys on both teams that can make a difference as well.
And last one for me here, you know, we talked about Cortland's running game, but, you know, your running game is really interesting as well. A fine balance between, you know, Jalen Leonard Osborne and Jake Williams. Could you just talk about their selflessness in the backfield, really almost splitting carries really for the betterment of this team?
Yeah, they've had a unique journey individually, where Jake was kind of the lead back in 2022, and Jalen was that the flash gadget player. Last year, Jake goes down with Liz Frank injury week 2 up at Endicott, and then Jalen had to carry the road the rest of the year. So this year, it's a balance between both of them, and certainly them being 5th years and them having a lot of mileage underneath their legs. You know, it's something that's really worked out to our benefit, and they are selfless, right? A lot of guys want 30 carries a game, but these guys understand it's about doing what's best for the team, and you know, they're going to make the most of the opportunities that they get.
Great. Thanks, coaches. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Ryan. Tyler, you're up next.
Yeah, I'm Tyler Ferragamo with the Red Dragon Sports Network. First of all, I want to thank both coaches for your time today. This is, this is really great leading into the Cortaca matchup this year. My first question is for Coach Toerper. This is the 3rd time that the Bomber defense has seen Zach Boys in his career. What aspects of his game do you think make it difficult against a quarterback who's likely to be a Gagliardi Trophy finalist this year?
Yeah, I think he's the best in the nation. And that's, watching him grow throughout his career and his determination and his ability to improve year in and year out. And even though he's lost those 2 receivers that they had last year, hasn't skipped a beat. And I just think that it starts, with his work ethic. I know he's a competitor, and talking to Coach, even after the national championship, he was ready to get right back to work. And he just makes you defend so much because he sees it so well. He plays point guard back there when he needs to play point guard, and when it's all wrong, he can run the football. So, he's grown a lot since we saw him at Yankee Stadium. We always knew he could run, which he showed off a lot that day. But as far as the decision maker and as far as his accuracy goes, man, he's gotten better year in and year out. So, really somebody that we've seen a lot and I've followed, throughout his career is we have a lot of admiration for him, and we've got a challenge on our hands, but we know we're going to compete for 4 quarters.
And to continue with that, I would say aside from boys, what sort of unique challenges do you think that Cortland presents both offensively and defensively that makes this matchup more impactful compared to your yearly Liberty League opponents?
Yeah, they're the best offense in the country. They, I don't know if that's statistically true, but the best offense we certainly see. And they're so balanced. They've got playmakers at every level, offensively on the perimeter, in the backfield, and certainly a quarterback and offensive line that move people backwards and certainly can protect him as well. So those guys present a massive challenge because of the balance, but also defensively, they are very stout up front. Like I said, they have linebackers that can run sideline to sideline, and they're athletic in the secondary. So holistically as a team, they've got very few weaknesses, and that always it makes for a challenge in all 3 phases when you're trying to prepare a game plan.
And my final question is for Coach Fitzpatrick. What challenges do you think that Ithaca backfield presents for the rushing defense?
Oh, I mean, obviously two really good backs who we've seen a lot of over the last few years. I think that the contrasting styles is a challenge. I mean, Jalen, he's literally the national champion in the 100-meter dash, right? So he's got unbelievable speed, combining with Jake Williams and his power and just they're just well-rounded players. And so, and the thing that I think Ithaca's offense has done a great job as the season has gone on is they've evolved and they're, you never know what you're going to get every week. It's a lot to process for a defense, and playing with tempo and, all the different formations and motions and formation to the boundary. And there's a lot of stuff that window dresses just some really sound football with really good football players. And then getting those guys the ball out of the backfield in the passing game too it's a challenge. And so we know we're going to have our hands full just knowing where those guys are at, and being able to get them on the ground when you do realize where they are is another challenge. So we're going to have our hands full, got to tackle extremely well and run hard to the ball and communicate. I think those are the problems that their offense asks the defense to solve, and we're going to have to be great at that on Saturday to win.
Great, thanks.
You're good, Tyler. All right, Cam.
Yeah, guys, what's going on? I appreciate you guys doing this. I wanted to bring back the question you guys had before a little bit. You brought up the JV game, or as Coach Toerper calls it, the AAA game between the JV squads and the Cortaca Mug. Talk about just kind of internally. Yes, as a media group, we understand how big this game is, but how cool is it for the 2 young groups to kind of play in a game like that, and how much does that game kind of mean leading up to this game?
I mean, I don't think there's anything schematic that it means. We couldn't call half the plays we call at the varsity level on those JV guys. They have no idea what those plays meant. But just I think the emotion of the game, the roller coaster of the game, the actual Cortaca Jug game, you have the fans that add to that. But also in a JV game like that, you could see anything in a JV game. There's things that happen out there that you would never think some of the best high school football players in New York would be making those mistakes, but they do. And so it's just a roller coaster. And I think it's great. I think for both teams, we played twice a year the last 2 years, home and home both years. Just the familiarity with the two programs. I think it makes for great JV games because we know that we're going against a really talented, well-coached team that's going to play with a lot of class. And sometimes you don't get that in a lot of the JV game, and not in every JV game you play. So, we schedule them I think it's just fun for the players because they're young and they know they want to play in the Cortaca Jug Game someday. And so here they are getting a chance to play without anybody in the stands, but there is a high emotion to it. But also we know we're going to get challenged and play a really good game to help us get better, which is why you play the JV games in the first place.
Yeah, just to second that, it is so hard to get good JV games, especially when you don't have to travel very far. And our games have been great. I mean, some of those JV games have been instant classics over the last few years, and our guys have so much fun with it. And they're clean. They're cleaner than you think too. As far as just the way that the game's played and the respect for both programs. And I think that's what it really comes down to. I think if there was, it's a rivalry, but there's admiration on both sides. And I think when you have that and you can harness it with getting young guys experience, and they're going to see the guys across from them that they're going to see on Saturday at some point, hopefully in their careers. And it's special, and it gives some juice. The older guys go out on both sides and support them. And that's really a unique part about this whole thing. And I don't know if a lot of schools could be able to, really get that done in the way that we do every single year. So, credit to both sides for being class programs and being able to do something like this.
And then I know that Ryan brought this up before, but talking about your guys' season's big picture, do you feel that there's one game that kind of embodies your season and kind of has gotten you guys to be playing your best kind of brand of ball at this point? Is there a specific game or week that you feel kind of embodies your group and was the change in your season?
You asking if the both of us came?
Yes.
For us, our 3 losses. I think sometimes you got to learn who you are and learn who you aren't. And self-awareness is such a big thing. And playing the tough opponents that we did, particularly Johns Hopkins and Endicott, that was ones that we learned a lot about ourselves. And then, coming up short against Hobart in the way that we did was certainly one that will stick with me forever. But at the same point, we learned what really matters a lot in winning football. And for us, to overcome that, I think we've gotten better since then. But clearly, it was necessary for us to become a better program this season than we started the season. So that's really what turned us around was those early season defeats.
And I think, Cam, I would have to say, the two comeback victories that we had to have, very similar game scripts. We've talked about it on this interview, the Susquehanna game and the Brockport game. Very, very similar game scripts, and in both instances, just had to find a way to win. It's very important, I think, for a team when you're not playing your best, or maybe the other team is playing out unbelievable. I thought Brockport played extremely well last week against us too. Maybe the best I've seen them play all year. It was to have the togetherness and the just the mental toughness to respond, and to know that to know that we can respond. I think that's the kind of the calling card of this team is we're last year during the regular season, I don't know if we were as tough. I think we built some toughness during the playoff run and some belief, but I think we have a lot of mental toughness now that I think we can draw on. And you'd almost rather win that way than win easy, so that you've got that in the tank. So I think that's a real positive for us.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Flynn, you have a couple more?
Yeah, I have just 2 questions for you, Coach Toerper. Thanks for your time. We're talking about the 3 games that the team lost at the beginning of the season. What specifically do you think has been the biggest improvement to your team?
Protecting the football and not turning it over in the red zone. That's pretty much it.
Fair enough.
If we didn't do that in those 3 games, then it's certainly possible for a different outcome.
Yeah, and then can we speak on Matthew Parker and what he's done this season? I mean, it's been incredible him stepping up like that.
Yeah, Matt's done a great job of getting better every week and building his confidence, and it comes with the preparation, getting in Coach McGuire's office and meet with him, a lot, and just really being a student of the game. So we're proud of Matt and the growth that he's made, and certainly that's what we expect young guys to do is get better every week, and it's up to us to build a plan for them to get better. So our coaching staff does a great job of building him up and giving him the opportunity to succeed.
Yeah, and then just one more. You guys been kind of developing Colin as offensive playmaker. You guys been feeding him the ball at running. He's been throwing the ball too a bit. Can you speak on that as well?
Yeah, certainly he's handled the situation very well and very mature. And he's the first guy congratulating Matt when they come off with a good drive or Matt throws a touchdown pass. He's the most excited guy for Matt, which, might not always be the case. You even saw it, I think, in major college football yesterday. Somebody was named a starter and the other guy just decided to leave school. So that's really shows who he is as a person. But then, when you have a big guy like that, who's a competitor, who enjoys contact like he does, you find a way to get him on the field. And I think that's something that, for me, when we ever have guys that are competitors, that have physicality, that have athleticism, it's our job as coaches to find a way for them to contribute. So that's what we're trying to do with Colin right now.
Thank you, Coach Toerper.
Parker, do you have anything more?
I was just about to message you. Yes, I do.
All right, go for it.
First, I have questions for both, but I'll start with Coach Fitzpatrick. First of all, Coach, this is the third different Ithaca quarterback that you will be seeing in both your tenure as head coach and in the last 3 Cortaca Jug games. How does your preparation differ, specifically this year, with the differences that Matthew Parker brings to the field?
I don't know. Each year is kind of its own, right? So, we faced a different quarterback this year than last year, but our defense is different this year than last year too. So, Matt is, he's very, very well-rounded quarterback. I think he's done a real nice job throughout the season. He is accurate. He, has a sense for the moment, makes some big throws, but he's also can use his legs and hurt you that way too. So he's a good player, but it's really their whole offense as a whole. Like all the things that they do, you really can't focus on one area or another. I think you just have to try to be sound in all areas and play with clean eyes and tackle really well. If we leave receivers open, he's accurate and he will put the ball on them and they'll make some big plays, and they have some very talented receivers that can really hurt you. So, we know that we have to play. We want to play as good a defense as we've played all year long in this game. Know we're going to need to give our team a chance.
And then the other thing I had for you was, this is an Ithaca team that has a lot of young starters, specifically their offense. Whereas your team, while you said goodbye to a couple really excellent veteran players, you still have the leadership of Zach Boyes and Jaden Alfano St. John, both of whom have started multiple Cortaca Jug games and been big pieces. What do you think about the veteran experience going up against the youth of this Ithaca team?
We're, if you look on paper, we're older team. I like our experience. I think a lot of these guys have drawn from experience in winning and losing, and I think that's so there's a lot that goes into that. I think not only in Cortaca but also through the NCAA playoffs and playing in some of the venues that we did. Definitely drawn on experience, but sometimes the youthfulness is you don't know any better, and that can be a strength. So some guys that are young, Jaden Alfano St. John was a freshman in 2021, starting at tailback in his first Jug game, played out of his mind because he didn't know any better. He just give me the ball and he just played. And so there's almost a freeing nature of being a young player too. Who gives a crap? Just go out and play. And there's no expectation. Sometimes that's easier. So we have a little bit more experience, but I don't necessarily think that that's an advantage. It's football, and there's some really talented players on the field, and that's what makes this game so special. Is that anything could happen out there. It's going to be a fun game, and there's going to be a lot of exciting moments.
Thank you so much, Coach Fitzpatrick. Coach Toerper, I come over to you in a similar line of questioning. This sophomore class specifically, you've had a couple key first-year contributors like Joe Spira, but this sophomore class, Nicholas Matos, Nick Lang, both of your quarterbacks, as well as multiple key contributors on your defense, have been exceptional this year. What do you think about the way that they've developed after their first year in this program and evolved over the course of this season?
I think you make your biggest leap as a college football player, particularly if you get experience as a freshman from freshman to sophomore year. So it's just about being in those moments. It's about succeeding, but also more importantly, sometimes failing in those moments that allow you to grow. And those guys have all bought into that mentality, and they bought into putting the work in along the way to improve their game, whether it's during spring practice, in the weight room in the off season, or at home, back at home in the summer times. They've really just guys, the guys that you're speaking of right there in the quarterbacks and the receivers, there are guys that have put the work in to get better. And also that experience, you can't put a price on that. It's something that's, as a football player, there's nothing like playing in the moment. The only way to get better at playing football is by playing football.
And then the last thing from me, Coach, last week was senior day on the South Hill. Obviously, you celebrated and gave props to a lot of your guys who could be playing their last game on the South, or their last game in New York this weekend. What do you think about the contribution specifically on defense and in the running back room of these guys who have been in the program for so long and have developed so much?
Yeah, the first thing that comes to my mind immediately is Jake Connolly and his commitment to this program, and just who he is as a person, and just just who he is as a well-rounded young man. And we're really gonna miss him. There's other guys on the defense as well that are outstanding human beings and also competitors. But Jake is obviously the guy that leads the charge. And then you also got those running backs that have played a lot of football for us and have had a lot of success, who are great people as well. So it's you look at that when things wrap up. You don't want to think about that this week. You just want to think about today's practice. But you think about when you do have a chance to, like last week when it was senior day, you think about all the moments they've been through in this program and what they've meant to it and how they've left it better than they found it. So that's something that we'll worry about, those ability to look back and think about and reflect in the past and in the future. But right now it's about getting the meetings, getting the practice.
Coach, thank you so much.
Alex, Toby, Max, do you guys have any questions? No. Brad, I think we might be set. I'll turn it back over to you.
All right. I'd like to thank both coaches and the media members in attendance for, helping us out today and making this a good event. And if you have any other questions, you have any other follow-ups, obviously Justin and I are available by email to take care of anything you need. And otherwise, I wish both coaches good luck, and everyone hope enjoyed Saturday's game. And thank you for attending. Thanks.
Thank you.